Well, I may not have been here, standing right here, since a year ago, actually, because there's been so little done. Let me see if I can orient you. There is the mill building. I last filmed over in there. This I call the East Village, or West Village. East. I think this is the East Village. And there's the pond. The goats, as you can see, haven't done that much to knock all that brush down, but they will. I don't have that many. I had filmed that and said it was going to be for glass. It is. And I hope that I stored it in such a way that it won't just freeze. Now the wind's blowing and it is really cold, but at least the sun's shining. I'm standing on the back of the beast, and so much really hasn't changed at all. Those are ashes waiting to get down to the garden. That's a building over over a well that I redug. The charcoal, we didn't burn it yet. It's waiting. One of those two tanks is full, and when the weather's right this winter, we'll burn it. This hammer hut, destined to have a windmill over it. Again, I haven't really done anything on it in the last year, but it's waiting. It'll be fine. There's that $40 load of firewood that I said that I unloaded. One new development is that's the makings of a bench that you're looking at right there. There's the two, I don't know what they call them, two legs made up of 4 legs each, and the planks that are laying behind them go across it. That bench is going to go over there between the mill building and Thomas Hockling Hall to carry, it'll be roofed, and it'll be to carry a line shaft up just under the peak of the roof, but it'll also serve as a bench and a gate. There's also a sort of a bench made out of steel for welding, which we've used. Haven't shelled or ground corn there this year, which has almost been a mercy because I really haven't been ready. The water at the moment is not coming here yet. Well, I think that's enough to see. I'm going to go inside I call it Shirley's Keller, the basement of Thomas Hockling Hall, and I'll go in there and film in there a little bit. Bye for now. Well, let's see if I can film this. Goats wanting corn. I don't know if I can do this one-handed or not, but they sure do like their little bit of corn, shelled corn, and Sophie too. This cold weather, I'm pretty free with it, really. There's always the little ones waiting, scoot under and get theirs. So I give them some here. Then I'll move over there, and they know I'm going over there. This is a billy goat. He's about as nice a billy goat as can be imagined. He has never made a single aggressive move. Well, no, wait, he did one time, sort of, and he's fairly young, and I showed him that wasn't going to be, and ever since then, he's been fine. What a little sweetie she is. All right, then we go one other spot. This one here, Beauty is her name. She sneaks through the gate, and that way she can eat where she's not surrounded. I'm sort of filming out of order, but here comes Heidi. Heidi's going to have babies real soon, I think. And here comes my favorite of them all. This is Flecken. She was crippled by that aggressive billy goat I had when she was just little. And I broke her hip, I think, and she's been a favorite of mine ever since. Nursed her back to health, and she even had babies, but they didn't make it. All right, you guys know how it's all going to be done. Whenever I do this, we're done. This is their noon feeding. It's so cold that I'm feeding them pretty liberally. Now I'm going to shut this door. I didn't get it quite shut. Let me try that again. Now you're in Shirley's Keller. And the goats are all standing around thinking, hey, that was a good feeding. When are you going to give us some more corn? We're going to have to wait a little bit. This time, last year at this time, I didn't sweep it up. I just, I was in a hurry. I did sweep. I do that, well, at least once a day, usually twice. Here's my chickens, 3 of them I still have. You've maybe seen them before. I've begun to make spots in the corner so it's warm. The pallets are to hold the chill from the wall away, and it's on a pallet as well. I think I count 6. I've got 6 places where if they want to be warm they can be. There's Beauty. Build a ramp and a stalk to hold the goats while we trim their feet. I think a stalk built as a parallelogram that hinges, closes, is better. I think we can make considerable improvements to that. But that's one of those things too I learned. You really have to trim their feet a lot. Now those 6 places, there's 1, there's 2 in here where the chickens were, there's 3, there's 4, and there's 5 on the other side, and there's 6. I could close them all in on this side if I wanted to, but that hasn't been necessary. Yeah, see, look at that, 3 eggs I got. I'll get them later. Let me see if, yeah, you can probably see them. That's where the chickens have been laying their eggs. And I'm building sort of corner cupboards in a way over them to protect them more. I'll do that more here this January, each one of those spots, and I'll do the same thing here. You've seen this before. That's my line shaft waiting to be installed for the equipment that's upstairs. I think I'll install it under the floor here and belt up to the equipment. There's Heidi, the one's going to have a baby soon. This buck, he was on death's door, but he's going to be fine. There's a crossbridge. He's half Boer goat and Nubian. He's holding his foot up. I'll probably have to look at that. What's the matter with that foot? He's a little bit wilder than the others. There's this friendly Billy, truly friendly Billy. It's almost like a contradiction. Now, how could that possibly be? But he is. He's really friendly. There's Chase. There's Oreo. There's Geisline. This is Marshall. There's Sky. She's going to have babies, I think, pretty soon too. All right, now I'm going to step into where it's warm. Yeah, well, it is warm actually. I've begun to use this furnace in here a good bit for the goats, actually, to keep them warm at night. You know, when I have the horse and all the goats in here and I close it up, it makes a difference. I mean, even right now, it's really much warmer standing near that. So I start a fire sometime in the early afternoon and let it go until I finally go up to the house, and I fill it. I'll fill it probably 3 times over today with blocks like that. Get it going and then just fill it. Let me show you what that looks like in there. Yeah, I could probably put more in now. That is working so well, and the masonry behind it also works so well. It takes a while to get warm. It's already warming up a little bit, but once that warms up, it has that. That's why it's worth it to build a fire, because through the night, that gradually lets the heat off at a very long wave radiation, and it really makes a difference. But you have to start early. Although I only started about an hour ago, and already the air that's coming off it and close to it is really nice. But I've been amazed that actually probably, if I close everything up, it does have some effect on this whole area. Here's my shop. Looks like a mess, I know, but it's a shop. And in the last year, it has been very much used, very much used. I finally got the ceiling ultimately will all be sheet metal like that. I don't like to have anything flammable anywhere near a flame. There's actually, that plastic is about the only thing that you could call flammable anywhere on that. Oh, and the goats, when the new babies are born, they're going to all crawl in behind here, and that's where they'll lay. I got this table cleared off, and now I use it all the time. It was just cluttered with stuff. Got that vise had not been installed last year, I think. Oh, there goes line. Use the blackboard all the time. That's the first blackboard that I taught on in my school 6 years ago. I started teaching. It wasn't quite there. It was over to the left a little bit. But someday, for memory's sake, I'll maybe teach a class down here. Maybe I'll do that soon. My island of machines, 2 saws and 3 saws. I haven't used this much at all yet, but it would just have to be cleaned up and used. Behind that is that massive fireplace, which I've put on in my school elsewhere, a cook stove. This could all be used. Now the bake oven, I didn't work on it yet again. I stopped. I can tell you why. I stopped because well, it's because when you build a fire in there and clean it out, those ashes, I think, are best in the old days. They fell on the floor and then you pushed them underneath it. So they continued to heat the underside. That heat wasn't wasted. But to do that, you've got to have some kind of a draft on the far side. So I got to do some re-excavating and set up some kind of a draft on that underside in order to do that. All right, I guess I do want to show you one other thing outside, and oh boy, in so many, these are screws and nails. Over there are bolts and nuts. There is some order to this. Let me just open it now. The goats will get a little excited, but I'll just keep filming. I want you to see what I have on the pickup truck. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, I had a load of firewood. Well, before I get to that, let me show you here. This is another one of those benches. I built 3 of that size. That's the top. Those are the 2 legs, each one made up of 4 legs, and that is going to fit in there, and the line shaft is going to come out through that building and continue on, and it'll continue to be usable in these 2 huts here. All right, now this stuff, that's what I can get in town typically every other week. I go in there and they thank me. Sometimes they call me and say, come get the pallets, they're building up. Those are free. And I still have not paid for a pallet yet. All right, I think that's going to be enough for today. I'll pick the story up, I guess, right about here next time. That has been Shirley's Keller. Oh, there's Chase. I've always got some goat limping for some reason. All right, bye for now.